All right, folks, welcome to Nino's Corner.tv, Fluff Tube Edition. I'm with 𝗬𝗏𝗏. First of all, folks,
Hey, Nino.
hey, Juan, I just want to say, I want to clarify something. The last video we did where I said Biden will resign in a week, I jumped the gun on that. So I'm going to apologize for that. The story was breaking on X, and I simply asked the question to Juan about it. Juan never stated that. Is Biden going to resign?
Well, let's talk about it, man. Go ahead and do your introduction.
But yeah, but I'm just gonna tell the audience right now, we're gonna try to give it to you the most realistic way we can right here on FluffTube, and then we'll go to 𝗏TV and go really deep into the issue about the upcoming scare and the tactics they can use. But until then, get your noble gold. Get noble gold, folks. Gold has gone up more than 81% in the last 5 years. It's happening. Central banks are ditching the dollar and U.S. Treasury and buying more gold. The good news, it is predicted to go up even more. So, folks, buy your gold. Get your gold and silver. UBS even said it would go up to 5,000, and I'm hearing more than that. Noble Gold Investments' phone has been ringing nonstop. Everybody wants to protect their retirement with gold. You can do the same. And if you do it this month, Noble Gold Investments will give you a free 1/4 ounce gold standard coin if you open a qualified account. Go to noblegoldinvestments.com now. Noble Gold Investments. Get started on it, folks, and protect your wealth. Protect your, I don't know. I don't even do crypto. The only thing I'm doing is gold and silver. I got a little bit of XRP, but I'm putting it all into gold and silver. Juan, thank you for jumping on.
Yeah.
I reached out to you because I felt like I did not want to mislead my audience, and I know you've been getting some backlash from it, so let's clarify a little bit what we talked about. The video is doing very well, but I don't want it to do well for the wrong reasons. I really want to be very transparent with my audience. So I did say story breaking. If you go back and listen to it, story breaking. Biden to resign next week, blah, blah, blah. And then we started discussing that. And I put that in the title. And maybe that was a little misleading. So I apologize to my audience. Juan, what the hell's going on?
Aliens landing on the front lawn at the White House.
This is I'm getting
lots of
from
attention.
everyone. Who's it going to be? Who do you think it'll be? I'm wagering my bets on a Whitmer and a Newsom. But you're saying that this is going to be much more. This is going to be a much more difficult process than we could ever imagine. Correct?
Well, yeah, because the problem is that in a number of the states, you have to get on the ballot in that state, and there's windows that close at certain times, and so you can't introduce somebody new. For this reason, Harris would have to stay on there. She's also on the ballot. You could have Biden drop off the ballot. But the reality is, I don't think any of that's what is probably going to happen. In fact, one of the things here is the ruse, the distraction. You want to make Biden look like a survivor. He's tough. He's able to weather the storm, very Trump-esque, a winner. And no matter how bad people talk about him. So they've put all these things out there so that the media, the press is, can he do it? Will he be able to stay? He's going to come back and campaign everywhere all at once and blah, blah, blah. When he stays on the ballot, then he looks tougher. He looks robust. And so the bad press is that actually part of remember, you're in a massive game of magic, illusions. And so the magician has to deftly take your attention and goes one way and then do the magic act and the flash bang. And suddenly you see this amazing drama, and it's startling, it's astounding. But let's just cut the fluff away and look at the mechanics. The mechanics are, it is very hard to change a candidate this late in the game. far more likely is something akin to what happened with Johnson. Johnson decided he wasn't going to run. The context of that, which none of what happened was in the public's eye at the time. K-129 happened. A Russian sub sunk 390 miles north of Hawaii. Radiation was detected in the area. When the sub was found by the USS Turtle, a couple of months later, it was determined that the sub was in the process of firing a nuclear-tipped missile. And the obvious target would have been Pearl Harbor, based on the range of that particular sub and missile that was actually mimicking, it was a Russian sub mimicking a Chinese sub that the Russians had sold to China. And its range, Russia had a range of about 800 miles at that time of March 11th, 1968, just after midnight, early morning, March 11th. The numbers are important because they always like to brand things with their numbers. Who's really behind something? Not the government you see, but who's behind it. With that in mind, when Johnson was aware of what actually happened, it so spooked him because it was intended to bait America into attacking China. Had that missile gone off in Pearl Harbor, we had all sorts of things going on in Southeast Asia. China was the culprit, and it was intended to make it look like China was the source of this thing. Do some dirty work for the Russians. It's like drug gangs where one gang gives the information to the police to go after the other gang and do the dirty work for them without having to sacrifice their own people. So Johnson withdrew from the race a little earlier than where we are right now, but the same principles apply. If Biden were to withdraw from the race, he remains as president and he's in place to do whatever mischief has to be done. The other component that has to go in here, Nino, Putin told the world when Tucker was over there. Remember, he wasn't really doing an interview with Tucker.
Yeah, right. He was doing the interview with America.
Doing it for America and the rest of the Western world. So he had.
But be careful how you say this here. I know what you're going to say.
I know. Yeah, just bear with me. So Putin said that Biden isn't running America. Biden isn't running Washington, D.C., that it's people who you don't even know the names of who are doing this. So if that's true, and Putin's got pretty good intelligence, I think he knows a little bit about what he's talking about, who's pulling the strings behind the scenes? It's somebody else. And what's their motive? What are they trying to do? What are they trying to accomplish? They have Biden already there. If he was to resign from office, they'd be dealing with Kamala, who hasn't been in the seat long enough to show force, do all the other things. It would be a for real shit show. So what they really want to do is not admit that Biden's horrible or bad or whatever. They want to keep him in place and then keep the ticket, but he withdraws from the nomination.
Right. So I've always, hold on, Juan, tell me if I'm right around the ballpark here, if I'm hot or cold. I've always said that Biden will go to convention, and then right around convention or after, he'll say, you know what? I'm going to do what's best for the country. I'm going to step down. And Kamala, he's going to look at Kamala and hold her hand, and they're going to smile. And then Kamala will be like a placeholder until they get in someone like Newsom, or you've said maybe Whitmer or someone along those lines to come in and then take over Kamala. But she's going to be like a placeholder, right? She'll be able to actually get into the presidency, and by the time all the legalities hit, she'll just step away and maneuver someone else. Right?
Yeah, there's one of the things I want to say, Nino, and then I'll answer that question. One of the things I want to say is, if you get too locked in to a particular outcome, in fact, I mentioned this with 𝗂𝘂𝗍𝗂 the other day on an interview, and he made an interesting statement that I kind of locked onto because I think it helps people understand. You know this in sports. If you prematurely commit to an action that you think the other guy is going to go this way or that way, and you move your body in a certain way, you telegraph, your opponent can take advantage of it and then make that maneuver. So the hard part is, how do you fake the other guy out without actually committing your body weight in a certain direction?
Boxing, that's called a feint.
Okay. And so how do you feint through this and fool everybody of where you're going so that they don't over anticipate? And I think that's what sometimes you commit too early and you get suckered in. So what we have to be careful of, there's something coming. You can feel it in the air. I had a communication with Cliff High just a few minutes ago, and I thought he said something extremely brilliant, and I'll let him say it on his show, but I'll give just the nuance of it, whenever he appears next. He made one specific thing that hit me, and it made it make sense. Have you ever noticed how when you're tense, you're stressed, you know something's about to hit, your mouth will get dry?
Yeah, every time I was in the locker room before a fight, yeah.
Well, and other things, that there's certain triggers that might make your mouth water, okay? Right. So, the pretty girl goes down the street, some good food comes by, a cookie shows up on your plate, something. Your senses, your glands, different parts of them respond different ways. So out in the world, in the public right now, and I've used the Phil Collins song, I Can Feel It Coming in the Night. Payback is on its way. It's very personal for me because that song came out in the time frame when something happened, and I've been waiting for that moment.
Payback meaning we're going to be doing the payback.
Payback is on its way. There's almost a divine justice moment in Payback.
Okay, I got a better song
different
for you.
Times. Okay.
James Brown, Payback. Have you ever heard that one?
I don't know if I have. I probably have.
Get back. Payback. Yeah. 𝗏𝗏𝗏 came out to that song when he fought, I think it was Holyfield or something like that. But anyway, yeah, it was a James Brown song. Anyway.
Well,
get back. Yeah.
Well, so what part of the deal is, Nino, is that everybody knows something is coming, but you have to be careful if you get too far down the road on exactly what that looks like. If it doesn't happen the way you thought it should, you feel robbed. You feel that somebody, because you've got it all worked out, you've committed to all your friends, this is what's going to happen next, and then you look like a dork. Okay. Let me just say it this way. Even the people that know what the options are don't know exactly which option is going to be played next, because they're both waiting. It's kind of like chicken, which one's going to blink first. Okay. And so even within the Trump camp, there's questions about how it's going to go. And then let me just add this. Remember, Putin said, essentially, Biden's not his own man. The people behind Biden that you don't even know the names of are the ones that are going to puppeteer the Biden team on their next move. But let me flip it around for you, for all you Trump fans.
Don't say that.
Well, we'll talk about it on the other channel. But the point is that there's dynamics in play that may not be as obvious as people think they are. And both teams are waiting for the other one to commit, to do the feint, so that they then commit their way. They're both teams have options. It's not just this or that. It's not one or two. They have multiple options. They got, and they got sneak plays that they haven't played all season so far that they're holding in abeyance to play at some point.
How is Biden gonna last in the next debate? When is the next debate?
Well, which Biden's going to show up?
Right. I mean, how can okay, so he may show up like a superstar in the next one. But when is the next
They
one?
get better drugs every day.
But I
Better
mean,
masks,
when
better
it, but I
drugs.
mean, he's going on. I don't know what network he's going on. It may be tonight that he's going on, and he's gonna talk about how he's ready for the job. I think it's maybe on NBC or something like that. They're gonna do a one-on-one with him. Obviously, they're trying to rebound with the travesty that just happened on the debate, so they're doing a one-on-one with him interview, which is gonna be edited and sliced and diced and the whole thing. But you know, could we be looking at a Harris-Trump debate the next time, or will it be a Biden? I guess we just don't know. The truth is we don't know what card they're going to play until they pull it.
Well, but that's part of my point, Nino. Don't get over vested in a specific thing. This there's bends and twists coming that are virtually impossible to anticipate, including things that you've never dreamt could happen. Will it be as wild as the aliens landing on the front lawn, or some ruse, some apparition, the
Let's talk.
angels have
Let's
arrived?
get into that. Also, one thing I wanted to ask you, also wanting to before I let you go on here on FluffTube, was the number 711. Trump was going to be sentenced on that number. That's a power number, am I right?
Sure, 77, 11 times 7. Trump's number is 7.
Right.
And so he was in his 70th year, 7th month, 7th day of life on planet Earth on the first full day in office in 2017.
That's wild.
Not January 20th, January 21st, his first full day in office. And he showed up in his office, go to work at 7 a.m.
That's
So
incredible.
there's a certain, we look for numbers and there's obvious things like that, but there's two forms of the numbers. There's a natural matrix that just seems to happen. I've seen it in my own life over and over. And I just go, wow, that's wild. That's something in the background. And then there's the stuff that people try to engineer to create an artificial matrix of dates and numbers and celestial alignments, such as the birth date of Prince William, which was during an eclipse on the longest day of the year, something that only happens many thousands of years spread apart. That wasn't an accident. That was Merlin's. That was magicians. Deanna talked about some of the machinations going on behind the scenes to make certain that the promised one was born under the stars exactly correctly. By the way, Trump was born under an eclipse too.
That's insane.
So there's a lot of things going on at the same time in the contests. And remember, the entities, be it the devil or son of God or whatever, there is a dance going on to make things happen. God's got his clock in the skies. The devil tries to capture it, hijack it, take it to his own purposes. It's far more bizarre than most people really understand.
Well, that's why I was bringing up the 7-Eleven, because the 7-Eleven it just got taken back, because now they're not going to sentence him on 7-Eleven. Now it's been postponed. So 7-Eleven, that power number has essentially been taken away from them, correct?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's like 9/11. 9/11 is the true birth date of Christ, 3 BC. Why have the event at the towers on that date? To villainize that date. And I've heard this stuff, people talking about, no, it's in the spring. No, it isn't. But whatever. The only thing that actually matters in that particular discussion is the crowd, the 13 families, royal families,
Right. We can't talk about
and
that on.
everything. Okay, well, let me just finish that. I'll be simple. They believe that's the true birth date of Christ. Okay.
On 9/11.
So if you don't believe it, if you don't believe it, okay, that's fine. You got all sorts of data and all that. Okay, but it's their religion, not yours. It's their belief within their occult practices and beliefs. They believe that that's the true birth date. Therefore, they were trying to villainize it within their religion. Okay, you don't like their religion, fine, but it's not your religion, fine. But that's part of the thing. That's even what Cliff was mentioning earlier. Whatever happens next will likely have huge religious overtones. Cliff and I don't see alike on a number of things, but
No, I
to the
know that.
90th
I know
percentile,
that.
yeah, but to the 90th percentile, we do agree. We see something differently. We do agree on a lot of the main thrust of what's going on, and that's why he says to him, "I listen." I look at it very collegially. I don't blow it off. His insights are earned. He has done the scholarly work. He's doing comparative analysis. He's in there looking at information that is in the internet communications that are showing hidden patterns, hidden information, precognition on a societal scale, and where that foreknowledge, if you will, within these broad communities is indicative of things coming, if you will.
Right. So kind of like a looking glass or like a crystal ball into.
Yes.
And it's almost like a psychic look into what's going to happen
But
through reading the internet.
It's also a very technical thing because he's supporting it with information from within the internet, within these searches that they're doing that are, capturing like a net huge sections of the public consciousness in the aggregate, societal consciousness, understanding, precognition, etc., to look for something where we're all seeing something coming and there's some articulation of it that is like predictive. And it doesn't mean that it exactly happens like society expects, only that it's transmitted that way. So, for example, when everybody was expecting Bitcoin to go to a very high number, he was very clear, to my recollection, that it didn't mean it was going to, but that there was a societal collective belief that it was going to, that was the type of a predictive analysis, precognition of where it was going, if I understood it correctly. And he's, Cliff, he'll correct me if I said it wrong.
Well, let's I want
I'll
to
be
talk.
glad when he does. But
you said that these next 4 months are going to be insanity, and then the 4 months after that are going to be even crazier than these months. So
well, and let me just in Cliff's defense, so that I don't leave it totally hanging. What he sees coming is something almost spiritual in nature that is so gripping, so different. Doesn't mean it's that exactly, but almost like a Fatima thing that captures everybody's imagination.
So it could be an alien thing. It could actually, because he told me that it could be it has an luminosity of a 13 or greater. If 9/11 was like a 1, this is going to be much bigger than that. So in my mind, this really could be the alien deception. I mean, this could be what's getting ready to be played here, Juan. I mean, if they're that desperate. And it coincides with everything that you've ever said about a scare event. Well, they can use that scare event to push forward the deception. And do you feel like talking about that on the back channel, Juan? Because that's a lot of stuff I want to go. Because that's stuff I really want to go into, because is it gonna, who's gonna win the day? Because I believe in my own mind that they're gonna use that scare event for the deception, and you believe that it's gonna go a certain way with Mr. T. Let's talk about that on the back channel. All right, folks.
Well, and let me just say this, I think it's an important conversation. There's no conflict in that regard between what Cliff sees and what I see. We may see it play out a little differently, and
But you both see a massive event coming, massive.
Right, and I'm not doing it from a psyche, a voodoo high priest thing. I'm just looking at the information that's out there, what's mechanically going to be needed to pull it off, be they gods or men, or both. There's a certain type of mechanics that's required there. So I just don't want people thinking that,
And I want to say once again, if you got here late, I do apologize, folks. I kind of jumped the gun on the last video saying Biden will resign next week. I meant it as a question. If you look at it, there's a question mark. I was just simply stating that it was breaking as I was talking to Juanito. So just clarifying that. But okay, Juan, let me send you another link and let's go to .tv and talk about the good stuff, because I really want to talk about who's going to own the event. What are the 4 months going to look like after November? And that's important to me. All right, Juan.
Well, you see, I got my 𝗦𝗫𝗶𝗹 coin. This is the latest one, the 2024. The 2023s are gone, but the 2024 𝗦𝗫𝗶𝗹. And I can tell you what's going to happen. The 𝗦𝗫𝗶𝗹 is going to take the field in the third round after the fourth trumpet, because there's 4 trumpets in a bullfight, and we're going to see the 𝗦𝗫𝗶𝗹 take down the deep state bull. That's what's going to happen.
Beautiful.
That's the short version. Okay,
short version. Let's get
epic.
into it though. Let's really, because I've been wanting to know what November on is going to look like. So all right, folks, I'll see you over at Nino's Corner.tv later.